You ever notice that in Los Angeles, even the ghosts have headshots? Welcome back to Screamville, where we dive into the darker side of the City of Angels, emphasis on angels. This is part 2 of Los Angeles' most haunted places because, honestly, LA is too big and too haunted to fit in just one video. Between the old Hollywood mansions, forgotten hotels, and creepy parks, it's like the spirits here didn't get the memo that their 15 minutes of fame were up. If you thought the first part was chilling, wait till you see what we've got this time. LA doesn't just have haunted houses, it's got haunted neighborhoods. You can't even grab a taco at 2 a.m. without wondering if that cold breeze came from the Pacific Ocean or something supernatural. And with traffic this bad, who could blame a ghost for sticking around? They probably died on the 405 and just decided, yeah, I live here now. Now locals know there's a fine line in LA between historic and haunted. You tell someone your building's from 1920, and they immediately ask if there's a ghost in it. And the answer is usually yes. I mean, you can't have that many decades of broken dreams, silent film stars, and forgotten nightclubs without a few spirits still trying to find their mark. We'll be visiting a few spots tonight where the paranormal isn't just rumored. It's practically listed on Yelp. 5 stars, saw a ghost, would scream again. From eerie mansions with hidden histories to hotels that never seem to let guests truly check out, LA's ghosts have personality. Some like to perform, some like to prank, and a few, let's just say they prefer the horror genre over drama. And if you're from LA, you already know this city's haunted enough without the ghosts. I mean, have you ever tried finding parking on Sunset Boulevard after 8 p.m.? Terrifying. Or how about walking past a mannequin in Melrose that looks just real enough to make you question your life choices? Yeah, add a whispering spirit, and you've got yourself an LA original horror story. But before we get started, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, go check it out. That one had enough chills to make even the Hollywood sign shiver. This time, though, we're going deeper. More stories, more ghosts, and maybe even a few familiar faces. You never know who or what might be watching. All right, lights down, spirits up. Welcome to Los Angeles' most haunted places, part 2. Let's see which ghosts couldn't resist another cameo. The Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles was built in 1924 during a time when the city was booming and dreams were bigger than the palm trees. It was meant to be a luxury getaway for businessmen and travelers passing through the City of Angels. With its marble lobby, stained glass windows, and polished brass fixtures, the hotel was designed to impress. But fate, as usual, had other plans. What began as a symbol of class and prosperity slowly decayed into one of the most notorious hotels in America, a place where nightmares checked in and rarely checked out. When the Great Depression hit, the neighborhood around the hotel began to fall apart, and so did the clientele. Instead of wealthy travelers, the hotel became a refuge for drifters, down-on-their-luck residents, and people who just wanted to disappear. The lobby still glistened faintly, like a ghost of its former glory, but the energy changed. The once grand building started earning a new reputation, one soaked in tragedy, darkness, and whispers that seemed to echo up and down its long, dim hallways. Over the years, strange deaths became an unfortunate tradition at the hotel. Guests jumped from windows, others took their own lives behind closed doors, and some simply vanished. Locals began to call it the Hotel of Death. It got to the point where you could probably check in and find the front desk clerk shrugging like, yeah, it's been a weird week again. By the time the 1960s rolled around, the hotel had become a magnet for trouble, earning a reputation that no amount of rebranding could shake. Then came the stories that pushed the hotel into true infamy. In the 1980s, the hotel reportedly housed serial killer Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, while he was actively committing his crimes. Guests claimed he'd wander the halls half naked after his late-night activities. And just when you thought the place couldn't get creepier, in the early 1990s, another serial killer, Jack Unterweger, allegedly stayed there too. If you were in room 1402 around that time, well, let's just say you probably didn't get much sleep. One of the most infamous incidents came decades later in 2013 when a Canadian tourist named Elisa Lam vanished inside the hotel. Security footage showed her in the elevator behaving strangely, pressing all the buttons, peeking out nervously, as if hiding from someone or something. Weeks later, her body was discovered inside a rooftop water tank after guests complained about the taste of the water. That story alone put the hotel back on the map for every ghost hunter, true crime fan, and amateur detective with a YouTube account. And of course, the ghost stories. Guests have reported disembodied voices, cold spots in the hallways, flickering lights, and the faint sound of someone crying in empty rooms. Others claim to have seen shadowy figures at the end of long, dim corridors, figures that vanish the moment you blink. Some even say the elevator buttons press themselves, which honestly is rude. It's not hard to imagine that with so much tragedy, something might have decided to hang around permanently. The legends don't stop there. Some say that the ghost of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, was seen drinking at the hotel's bar days before her gruesome murder in 1947. Whether or not that's true, it adds another eerie thread to the hotel's already tangled web of myths. Every corner of the building seems to have its own story, some tragic, some horrifying, and some that sound like they were dreamed up by the ghosts themselves just to keep us talking. The building is said to hold a curse. Maybe it's the location. Maybe it's the energy of so many dark events stacked on top of each other. People say once you step inside, you can feel it. That heavy, uneasy silence that clings to you like dust. Even after the hotel was renamed Stay on Main in an attempt to give it a fresh start, the stories never stopped. Because you can slap a new name on a haunted place, but you can't evict the ghosts. In recent years, the hotel has undergone renovations and been partially converted into affordable housing, but that hasn't stopped curious travelers, paranormal investigators, and horror fans from showing up, hoping to see something they can't explain. If you stand in the lobby long enough, you'll notice a chill in the air that no air conditioner can account for. And if you stay the night, you might wake up wondering if that knock on your door came from the living or the dead. Of course, if the hotel had a rewards program, it would probably offer 10th night free if you survive the first 9. The elevators might whisper back when you talk, and the ghosts might complain about the new furniture. Even the lobby plants have probably heard enough screams to develop PTSD by now. It's the kind of place where you check in for the experience, not the comfort, and definitely not for the complimentary breakfast. For anyone telling haunted stories online, the hotel is pure gold. It's got everything: Hollywood connections, true crime, paranormal chaos, and a history too strange to make up. You could film a dozen episodes there and still not cover it all. It's one of those rare places where the line between reality and legend is so blurry that you can't tell if the horror is supernatural or just human. Today, the hotel stands tall but weary, like a veteran of every nightmare Los Angeles ever dreamed. Its walls have heard too much. Its halls have seen too many faces that never left. Whether it's cursed, haunted, or simply unlucky, the hotel remains one of the strangest places in America. A monument to the idea that sometimes buildings remember. So if you ever visit, just be polite, keep your flashlight close, and whatever you do, don't take the elevator alone. The Linda Vista Community Hospital sits in Boyle Heights like a grand old extra who never left the set, because frankly, Hollywood kept calling. Born in 1905 as the Santa Fe Coast Lines Hospital, it began as a railroad workers' healing house with a surprisingly wholesome vibe. Gardens, chickens, even cows providing fresh food for patients. Imagine your discharge papers plus a to-go basket of eggs. Over the decades, it expanded and changed names, reflecting Los Angeles growth spurts and architectural fashions, from Spanish colonial flourishes to later streamlined modern additions. By the late 1930s, it had adopted the name Linda Vista Community Hospital and kept patching on new wings, 1925, 1931, 1938, then mid-century updates, until it resembled a medical museum that couldn't pick a decade. The Santa Fe Railroad eventually bowed out, Medicare math got tough, and the ER closed in the late 80s. In 1991, the doors shut for good, leaving files, gurneys, and the kind of eerie silence that makes flashlights suddenly feel too small. Then Hollywood rolled in like a film crew that smelled character. The empty corridors starred in ER, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and horror flicks like End of Days and Insidious. If you've ever thought, hey, that hospital looks familiar, it's because it was working harder than most actors, often typecast as creepy medical facility number one. A constant rotation of productions kept the lights on, sometimes literally. And the building's reputation as a ready-made spooky backdrop only deepened the lore. Ghost hunters, of course, treat abandoned hospitals the way foodies treat new ramen spots. Local investigators like the Boyle Heights Paranormal Project poked around in 2010 and reported oddities, like a single mysterious footprint in wet basement dirt when nobody living was supposed to be there. Ghost Adventures filmed infamous episodes here too, chasing apparitions down the halls as if pursuing a very drafty Uber. Whether you believe the EMF spikes or just enjoy the drama, Linda Vista became a paranormal pilgrimage. So why is it considered haunted? Start with the hospital's long timeline and its rough final years. As nearby violence rose and reimbursements fell, the ER became a place of triage and tragedy, feeding whispers about a high death rate and bad outcomes. When a place racks up that much sorrow, storytellers, and maybe something else, tend to stick around. It's the perfect recipe. A once busy hospital, sudden abandonment, leftover equipment, and decades of echoing hallways ready to turn every footstep into folklore. The greatest hits of Linda Vista ghost stories read like a casting call. A child lingering around surgical rooms, a young woman pacing the third-floor corridor like she's late for rounds in the afterlife, and an orderly still on shift, pushing through his route whether you clock him or not. Add in shadow figures, disembodied voices, and classically helpful cold spots that would make any HVAC tech sigh. Skeptics say movie crews and dust motes. Believers say, shh, did you hear that? Either way, the storytelling practically writes itself. Plot twist, the abandoned hospital got a second life. Developers purchased the property in 2011 and scrubbed away decades of film set grime, restoring the landmark and converting it into Hollenbeck Terrace, affordable senior apartments that opened in 2015. Today, the lobby is more leases than EMFs, but the bones and the stories remain. Residents get great views, a slice of LA history, and possibly the world's most atmospheric night walk to the mailboxes. In the end, Linda Vista is pure Los Angeles, a place where railroads, medicine, architecture, Hollywood, urban legends, and community housing all share the same set. Believe the ghosts or blame the drafts. Either way, the building has range. And if you happen to feel a tap on the shoulder while admiring the Spanish Revival lines, just remember, in this town, even the afterlife might be angling for a cameo. If Hollywood had a yearbook, the Roosevelt Hotel would be the kid who started the drama club, hosted prom, and still shows up to reunions looking suspiciously good. Opened in 1927, just steps from the Chinese Theater, it quickly became a clubhouse for early film royalty. And 2 years later, its Blossom Ballroom hosted the very first Academy Awards over dinner, $5 tickets, and exactly 0 acceptance speech orchestras to play people off. Simpler times and shorter speeches. The Roosevelt's origin story reads like a studio green light meeting. Mogul Louis B. Mayer, Sid Grauman, and power couple Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks put up the money, named it for Teddy Roosevelt, and built a Spanish colonial palace meant for deals, dreams, and dramatic entrances. Think tile floors, coffered ceilings, and a lobby chandelier that looks like it could bill for a supporting role. Of course, where there's glamour, there are also ghosts. This is Hollywood. The headliner is Marilyn Monroe, who lived and worked at the Roosevelt early in her career, even shooting one of her first ads by the pool. Fans and staff whisper that her reflection still lingers in a famous lobby mirror relocated from her old Suite 1200, proof that even icons struggle to find good lighting and refuse to give up a perfect full length. Then there's Montgomery Clift, who stayed in room 928 while filming From Here to Eternity and supposedly never quite checked out. Guests report phantom trumpet practice. Method actors, am I right? Radios flipping on, and the distinct feeling that someone is rehearsing lines over their shoulder. If you hear scales past midnight, that's not the neighbor. It's classic Clift. The Roosevelt supporting cast is stacked. Some say Errol Flynn drifts through as a rumor with great eyebrows, but the hotel's most frequently spotted civilian spirit is a little girl named Caroline, often heard giggling or seen wandering in a pink jacket, asking for her mother. Pro tip: if a child in vintage denim photobombs your lobby selfie and then vanishes, you've probably just met Hollywood history's tiniest publicist. Beyond name drops, the building itself likes to participate. Cold spots waft through the corridors, phones ring with no caller on the line, and the Blossom Ballroom sometimes seems to host an invisible after-party, because if any room is entitled to eternal encores, it's the one that birthed the Oscars. Staff and visitors chalk it up to energy imprinted by decades of premieres, parties, and that one-time an acceptance speech lasted 15 minutes in total. The entire ceremony, not a single speech. Imagine. Modern investigators have brought EMF meters and spirit boxes, and a few even claim responsive bells, motion sensors tripped by nobody, and the voice of a young girl. Is it definitive science? Nah. Is it delightfully on brand for a hotel that's equal parts museum, cocktail lounge, and ghost convention? Absolutely. Book wisely, the view rooms sometimes include a bonus view of the afterlife. So, haunted? Many believe so. But even skeptics admit the Roosevelt feels charged, like the moment before the director calls action. Maybe that's just the architecture and the legends doing their job. Or maybe it's Marilyn checking her angles, Monty running lines, and Caroline practicing her lobby choreography, all keeping Hollywood's original hangout exactly as it likes to be, lit, lively, and just a little bit restless. The Hollywood Wax Museum might seem like a fun stop for tourists hoping to snap selfies with eerily lifelike versions of Marilyn Monroe or Elvis Presley. But behind those glassy stares and perfectly sculpted smiles, there's a darker reputation. For decades, staff and guests alike have whispered about strange occurrences in the waxy hallways of this iconic Los Angeles attraction, hinting that not all of its residents are made of paraffin. Some, they say, are far more spirited than the celebrity likenesses they mimic. The museum first opened its doors in 1965, built by entrepreneur Spoonie Singh, who had a flair for spectacle and a deep love of Hollywood glitz. Singh wanted to celebrate the stars, but he may have invited a few of them back from the other side in the process. The building itself, located along Hollywood Boulevard, has seen its fair share of old Tinseltown chaos, fires, earthquakes, movie premieres, and, according to local rumor, A few tragic deaths in the neighborhood long before Singh's wax dream came to life. It's the perfect cocktail for hauntings, old Hollywood glamour, artistic obsession, and a dash of the macabre. Employees have reported some classic ghostly behavior over the years: flickering lights, cold spots, and whispers that seem to follow them through the halls when they're locking up for the night. One janitor swore that every time he walked past the wax figure of Elvis, he could hear a faint hum of "Can't Help Falling in Love." He even unplugged every speaker nearby to prove he wasn't crazy. The next night, the song returned, and that janitor didn't. He quit on the spot and allegedly moved to Burbank because, in his words, ghosts don't commute that far. Visitors, too, have their stories. Couples taking late-night tours have reported seeing shadowy figures lingering just out of frame in their selfies, sometimes appearing behind wax figures that have no reason to move. One woman said a wax Marilyn Monroe winked at her. When she told the attendant, he just nodded and said, "Yeah, she does that sometimes." Whether that's part of the museum's customer service policy or just quiet acceptance of the supernatural, nobody's sure. Perhaps the most famous rumor involves the basement, a part of the museum not open to the public. Staff call it the morgue because that's where damaged figures and old molds are stored, but the nickname fits for other reasons. People who have gone down there to retrieve props have reported hearing footsteps behind them, or worse, the sound of laughter echoing from the dark corners. One brave soul claimed a wax figure's head turned slightly as he passed by. He laughed it off until the next day, when he discovered the head had actually been removed weeks earlier for restoration. There's also talk of a ghost known simply as the Director. This phantom supposedly wears a 1940s-style suit and hat and has been seen pacing between the wax figures as though inspecting a film set. A few security guards have even heard him muttering "action" right before the sound of a wax figure falling over. Imagine trying to explain to your boss that a ghostly director just staged a scene with your $50,000 Clark Gable sculpture. It's not exactly something HR trains you for. Despite, or maybe because of, these ghostly tales, the Hollywood Wax Museum has leaned into its haunted reputation. During Halloween season, they host themed events that blur the line between real and imagined terror. Guests love it. After all, what's creepier than being surrounded by hundreds of lifeless faces that might just move? For those who believe, every turn of the corner feels like an audition for a horror movie, with the spirits of old Hollywood still playing their parts. Whether you believe the stories or not, one thing's for sure. The Hollywood Wax Museum has earned its place in Los Angeles lore. It's part of that strange magic that defines the city, a place where fame never dies, but sometimes sticks around long after the spotlight fades. And if you happen to visit late at night and hear someone whisper "cut" when no one's there, maybe it's best to take your bow and exit stage left before the wax figures start applauding. Whew. Only in Los Angeles can you run into a ghost, a celebrity, and a $20 parking fee all in the same night. From haunted hotels to creepy theaters, I think it's safe to say the City of Angels has a few fallen angels still hanging around. So, what do you think? Did we miss a haunted hotspot? Should I head down to San Diego next, or maybe up to San Francisco where the fog's thick enough to hide a ghost or two? Drop your suggestions in the comments and tell me where Screamville should go ghost hunting next. And if you're watching this from LA, good luck sleeping tonight, especially if you live anywhere near Hollywood Boulevard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell because we're just getting started. I'll see you in the next haunted city.